Hello and welcome to the Knitting on the Run podcast, where it's always knitting and fun in 30 minutes or less. Show notes can be found at windsweptknits.com. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as windsweptmonique, and on Facebook and Twitter as windsweptknits. This is episode 121, recorded on September 7th, 2023, but written on August 29th, 2023. A little more on that later. Where did summer go? And the only answer I have is, I have no idea. Summer disappeared somewhere along the way. I missed the mid-August episode completely. We just had stuff going on with family and the last couple weeks before back to school, and suddenly I realized it was already in the 20s in August. So I drafted a podcast to record the last couple days of August or the first couple days of September, forgetting that school started the next day, and then I think a day after that, my in-laws arrived. And we've had company for most of the last 2 weeks, but my in-laws were up, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law have been up visiting from New Zealand over the past 2 weeks, as well as the start of school. And it's just been absolutely insane around our house, and it's finally calming down. Everyone's gone. The last house gets left this morning, so but it's quieting down a little bit. So what I'm going to do, because the schedule has been so crazy, is I'm going to record the episode as written for the end of August, and then next week I will update you with all the stuff I've done in the first half of September, and I'll include like the Pigskin Party kickoff, which starts today. I'll include my participation in that next week. So here we go, written at the end of August, but recording today. So some stash acquisitions. I stopped at UNU Fiber Arts in Windsor, Connecticut, and picked up some yarn. I was out there with my kids. I have family out that area. We went to visit them, and I also took my boys to Dinosaur State Park, which is right outside Hartford, Connecticut. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend. It's a small little park, but the footprints there are really, really cool. It's a little museum on the site and some hiking trails. Definitely recommend to stop if you've got kids. And about a 10-15 minute drive north is the small town of Windsor, Connecticut. They have a lovely yarn shop, UNU Fiber Arts. It's this tiny little building. It's adorable. I believe it's right tucked next to the library, if I remember correctly. I came in from the other direction this time. But it's this cute little building, and they have a lovely selection. And for how physically small the building itself is, they have a ton of inventory in there and a wonderful selection. I definitely recommend making a stop if you're in the Hartford area. We came out with a couple different skeins. I bought 3 skin tone shades of Bamboo Pop by Universal Yarns, and I got these on purpose, and I was thrilled. I got 3 very different shades of skin tones. But UNU Fiber Arts, I think, had 6 or 7 different skin tones there, and I was so excited to see that. It was wonderful. And I picked up a very pale shade, a sort of medium shade, something kind of a little bit darker than my own skin, and then a very dark shade. So I'm going to make things with all 3, and I bought these on purpose. Knitted Knockers, if you may have known a couple weeks ago, they put out a call for knockers in specifically in sizes D and double D in neutrals and skin tone shades. So all 3 of these skeins are going to be Knitted Knockers, and I plan to cast on one later today. I picked up 1 skein of Baby Alpaca Brush by Plymouth Yarns. This is an 80% alpaca, 20% acrylic blend, and this is a yarn picked out by my youngest son because, quote, it's super soft and fuzzy. And he asked me to make socks for his stuffed lion toy, quote, just like you make socks for me, which absolutely melted my heart. And of course I said yes. Now, mind you, he did not pick a sock yarn. He picked a super fuzzy alpaca blend yarn that knits up on size 10 needles. So these are going to be the fastest socks I've ever knit because the lion's paws are probably a little over an inch in diameter, and he only wants them about an inch and a half deep. So, I mean, these are going to fly off the needle. So I'm starting these tomorrow. It's my plan. And if I have extra yarn, Simba is also going to get a hat. Lastly, I picked up 2 skeins of Araucanis Huasco Coton in the Perito Merino and Inca del Sol colorways. The first is light blues and purples over a white base, and the second is pinks, oranges, and yellows over a white base, and they're beautiful, bright, happy, cheery colors. Not super saturated per se, and not like fluorescent bright, but just like the base is white, and then they have like speckled, but like generously. I'm describing these really badly because it's more than just speckled, but it's not saturated, so the whole yarn is not dyed. You can still see the white coming through at a lot of places on purpose. And I'm describing it really badly because they're actually really lovely. And I've worked with this yarn before. I knit a shawl up, and I used the Huasco Coton, I should say, as a contrast color. It's like the one I had was like an eggshell blue, pale pink, yellow, like very Eastery colors. And I knit a spring themed shawl up in that a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed working with it. So I am trying to decide what I should make with these. I want to make a shawl, but should I use these two together, or because they both share that white, is it too close? Should I use them as contrasting colors in separate shawls? I have not decided yet. And if y'all have any ideas, these are fingering weight skeins of yarn. I would love to hear about your favorite shawl patterns. Thank you. Works in progress. All right, so I've got Hitchhiker 8, 9, 10, something in Lion Briand Shawl in a Ball, which is a discontinued acrylic yarn. I am using the colorway that I couldn't find the name of. It's purple, gray, and white fading to each other. It's a very simple garter stitch shawl by Martina Behm, and I have less than 30% of the yarn left. I'm very excited. The Snowflake Sweater Scarf using Big Twist Heather from Joann's Fabrics in gray is coming along nicely, and I am really, really close to the central section, like probably within an inch, so super psyched about that. The second sock for Thing 1 is coming along nicely. This is the sock I've reknit 4 or 5 times, so that I'm now making him a tube sock, and I'll measure his foot and add an afterthought heel on Christmas morning. It's over halfway done. I got a lot of this knit at the Barbie movie. I went back to see it again with my mom and brought the second sock, the first sock I worked on the first time I saw it, and the second sock the second time. And it's coming along very nicely. The Summer Happiness Top by Concept Creative is a crochet pattern I'm really enjoying. It's a flexible garment that can be worn as a sleeveless top or a poncho. It's knit, basically you crochet 2 shawls and then seam them together and add straps. I am on the first crocheted shawl. I'm using 2 rainbow gradients from Sheepja's Whirl, 1 for each piece. So I've started at the pink and working down towards the blue, and I am almost to the blue. I am so close. I'm really excited about this. It's coming along beautifully. The Vivian sweater designed by Isolde Teague. I am knitting that in Lana Grossa Elastico in a dark green color. This is a heavily cabled sweater that I first made 12-ish years ago before I had kids, and I love that sweater so much, even despite being bottom-up. And if you've listened for any period of time, you know I'm not a fan of bottom-up sweaters. I prefer top-down, so I can try them on as I go and make sure my garment is fitting my body. But I really liked making this one, and I really liked wearing this one last time, so I decided to make myself a new one to fit my current body shape. Summer Dream, or Songe d'été, designed by Armel Robert. I am so close to finishing this. I am nearly done with the first short sleeve, so all that's left is the second short sleeve. I'm knitting this up in Linea Pura Unico by Lana Grossa, which is a discontinued hand-painted linen bamboo blend yarn, and I'm working on it in a beautiful colorway that is like a peachy orange shade, and I'm really enjoying working with this yarn. It makes a beautiful garment. Out and about. Upcoming fiber events in the Northeast USA and some virtual ones too. There's a lot going on this fall. First up, the Pigskin Party starts today. This is a virtual craft-along. I believe it's the 10th year. It's hosted by Boston Jen of the Down Cellar Studio podcast. And this is, I think, my 4th year participating as a knitter. I've also participated multiple years as a designer where I didn't participate as a knitter, and this year is my first time as a knitter and not as a designer. So I'm excited to be back. I just didn't have the time to do it and be a sponsor this year, although I am so happy to see that other folks are sponsoring because it's a really fun craft along. I am totally participating in it, and I have multiple things ready to cast on. I'm going to cast on knitted knockers. I mentioned the socks for my son's stuffed lion, and I am also going to start the second shawl for the Summer Happiness poncho top that I mentioned earlier, and that is going to be one of my pigskin party projects. Starting in 2 days, the Pennsylvania Endless Mountains Fiber Festival is September 9th and 10th in New Milford, Pennsylvania. New Jersey Sheep and Fiber Fest is also September 9th and 10th. That is in Ringoes, New Jersey. Western New York Fiber Festival, September 17th in East Aurora, New York. Vermont Sheep and Wool is September 30th and October 1st in Tunbridge, Vermont. The Freiburg Fair is October 1st through 8th in Freiburg, Maine. Rhinebeck, aka New York Sheep and Wool, is coming up October 21st and 22nd in Rhinebeck, New York. I will not be attending this year. I hope all of you that go have a wonderful time. I am actually going to be in New Hampshire that day doing something very fun. The Fiber Festival of New England is November 6th and 7th at the Eastern States Exposition in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I might try to head to that because I have not been to the Big E in decades. Maryland Alpaca and Fleece Festival is November 11th and 12th in West Friendship, Maryland. And lastly, the Pennsylvania Fall Fiber Festival is November 18th and 19th in Leesburg, Pennsylvania. I've got sunshine. So mind you, this was written when it was still August. So this is a couple weeks ago at this point, but summer's last hurrah. So when I wrote this, it was the last full week before school starts, and we have been doing lots of fun stuff like visiting Plymouth, Massachusetts, and seeing the Mayflower. We visited the Plymouth and Patuxent museums. We headed to Connecticut to visit cousins and Dinosaur State Park. And the day after I wrote this, we had to cancel our plans to go into Boston. We were gonna go to see the Children's Museum and then go to the Boston Tea Party ship, which is the traditional 3rd grade field trip in our town, which that got canceled for my older son because of COVID. So we were going to go in and do that together as a family. But it decided to pour buckets that day. So we changed our plans, and I took the boys out for a nice lunch, and then we went to an indoor blacklight mini golf and had a blast. So we ended the summer with a bang. We had a wonderful time. School started up again, and I'm hoping that sometime in the next week we actually get back into a rhythm, because between having 2 weeks of company and school starting, we're a little discombobulated here, but that's okay. I will see you all in roughly a week. I'm not going to promise what day I'm going to record, but I will come back to you with the stuff I've been doing this past week and the stuff I plan to do this coming week, and I will see you soon, and I will also see you at the end of September for the episode after that. So stay cool. I know we're in the middle of a heat wave here in the Boston area, so stay cool, everybody, if you can, and keep those legs and those needles moving. Bye-bye.